my aunt convinced I was a thief, making me return all my birthday gifts and miss every holiday. Before we begin, a quick favor: if you enjoy content like this, please click the subscribe button and support the channel. This way, you'll ensure you never miss amazing videos. Looking back, I should have noticed something was off when Aunt Eva insisted on hosting my 16th birthday party at her house. She'd never shown much interest in my celebrations before, but suddenly she was all about making it special and memorable. Well, she definitely succeeded in making it memorable, just not in the way anyone expected. I'm Luca, now 25, and this is the story of how my aunt systematically destroyed my relationship with most of my extended family, starting with what should have been one of the best days of my teenage years. The party itself started normally enough. My parents, Austin and Sophie, were there, along with my cousins and a few other relatives. Aunt Eva had decorated her house with an almost obsessive attention to detail. "Everything has to be just perfect," she kept saying. At the time, I thought she was just being nice, trying to make up for years of being distant. How naive I was. The gift opening ceremony was actually pretty great. I got some amazing and new gaming console from my parents, some expensive headphones I've been wanting forever, gift cards, and even a sleek watch from my uncle. Aunt Eva kept hovering around, documenting everything with her phone, insisting on taking pictures of each gift and making notes of who gave what. Again, I thought she was just being thorough for thank you cards or something. The weird vibe started during dinner. Aunt Eva kept disappearing upstairs for short periods and coming back looking increasingly agitated. She barely touched her food, which was unusual for her since she normally loved showing off her cooking. My cousin Everly noticed too. I caught her giving me confused looks across the table. Everything fell apart. About an hour after dinner, Aunt Eva suddenly burst into the living room where we were all hanging out, her face red and her hands shaking. "My jewelry is missing," she announced, her voice trembling but somehow theatrical. "My diamond tennis bracelet and my mother's sapphire ring, they're gone." The room went silent. I remember the way my stomach dropped, not because I had anything to do with it, but because I knew exactly where this was headed. Aunt Eva's eyes were fixed on me, and her next words confirmed my fears. "Luca was the only one who went upstairs today. Except I hadn't left the main floor once." I tried to say this, but she cut me off. "I saw you sneaking up earlier," she insisted. "Don't lie to me." What followed was like something out of a bad crime drama, except it was happening to me. Aunt Eva had everyone convinced that she'd seen me going upstairs, acting suspicious. She even had fake evidence, a photo on her phone showing my reflection in a hallway mirror upstairs. Later, I realized it was from when I'd helped her set up decorations the day before. But in the heat of the moment, it looked damning. My parents tried to defend me at first, but Aunt Eva was relentless. She started crying about how the ring was a family heirloom, irreplaceable, how she trusted me enough to have the party at her house, and how I'd betrayed that trust. She brought up random incidents from years ago. Times when money had gone missing at family gatherings which I'd never even heard about before, or when things had disappeared from other relatives' houses during times I wasn't even there. The worst part wasn't even the accusation. It was watching my family's faces change as they started believing her. My mom, Sophie, who had always been my strongest defender, began looking at me with doubt. My dad, Austin, kept asking me to just tell the truth in a disappointed voice that made me want to disappear. They made me empty my pockets, my backpack, even check the gifts I'd received. When they didn't find anything, Aunt Eva suggested I might have hidden the jewelry somewhere to come back for it later. That's when she dropped the "she wouldn't feel comfortable until every gift I'd received was returned, just in case I'd planned to sell them to make up for not being able to sell the jewelry. One by one, my relatives asked for their gifts back. The gaming console, the headphones, the watch, everything was taken away. My parents, looking defeated, agreed it was the right thing to do until the situation was cleared up. I sat there watching as each present was handed back, feeling like I was in some sort of nightmare. The party ended with me in tears, my gifts gone, and most of my family looking at me like I was a criminal. Only my cousin Everly tried to stand up for me, saying it didn't make sense. But she was quickly shut down by Aunt Eva, who suggested she was too young to understand. As we left, Aunt Eva made a show of hugging me, whispering, "I hope you learn from this." The look in her eyes, there was something almost triumphant there. That's when I realized this wasn't about missing jewelry at all. This was something else entirely. On the drive home, my parents were mostly silent. Mom kept saying she was disappointed and that we'd talk about this later. Dad wouldn't even look at me. I tried one more time to defend myself. But Mom just said we raised you better than this, Luca. That night, lying in my bed, I made two promises to myself. First, I would never forget how easily my family turned against me. Second, I would work my ass off to make sure I never needed anything from any of them ever again. The jewelry mysteriously reappeared 2 weeks later. Aunt Eva claims she found it in her jewelry box, where it had slipped under the lining. She made a big show of apologizing, saying she'd just been overwhelmed and confused. But the damage was done. My gifts stayed returned, my family's trust was shattered, and my relationship with them would never be the same. This was just the beginning of years of exclusion and subtle accusations. But looking back, that birthday party was the moment everything changed. I learned some hard lessons about family trust and the importance of being financially independent. Little did Aunt Eva know she was teaching me exactly how not to treat people. A lesson that would come back to haunt her years later. It's funny how quickly he's just going through a phase turns into he's chosen to distance himself from the family. After the birthday party incident, Aunt Eva made sure my absence at family gatherings was always noticed, but never in a way that told the true story. The first Thanksgiving after my 16th birthday set the tone for the years to come. Mom came to my room that morning, hovering in the doorway like she was approaching a stranger. Aunt Eva thinks maybe it's better if you stay home this year, just until things settle down, she said. She phrased it like she was doing me a favor, protecting me from an uncomfortable situation. I remember nodding, pretending it didn't matter, while my hands gripped my bed sheets so tight my knuckles went white. That's how it started. One holiday at a time, one family gathering after another. Christmas came with an excuse about keeping things peaceful. Easter was too crowded already. Every time, the message was delivered with that same careful tone, like they were handling something fragile and potentially dangerous. My cousin Everly was my only real connection to family events. She'd text me photos and updates, keeping me in the loop while simultaneously making me feel more isolated. Eva's telling everyone you're focusing on school instead of family, she wrote once. It's such BS, Luca. Mom tried to invite you to my graduation party, but Eva threw a fit about respecting boundaries or whatever. I threw myself into my studies and part-time job at a local tech store. The manager there, James, became more of a mentor to me than any of my relatives. He noticed how I'd volunteer for holiday shifts that nobody else wanted. Family stuff? He asked once during a quiet Christmas Eve shift. When I nodded, he just said, "They lost, kid. Let's see about getting you into our management training program." By 18, I had a solid savings account and a clear plan. While my family was gathering for another holiday I wasn't invited to, I was accepting a full scholarship to a good university 3 states away. Mom and Dad came to help me move into my dorm, and I could see the conflict in their eyes. Pride in my achievement mixed with guilt about everything else. We should have handled things differently, Mom said as they were leaving. It was the closest she'd come to an apology, but it was too little, too late. I just nodded and hugged them goodbye. College was my fresh start. I doubled down on computer science classes and picked up freelance web development work on the side. Every dollar I earned, straight into savings or investments. My roommate used to joke that I was the only student he knew who had a 5-year financial plan, complete with spreadsheets and quarterly goals. Meanwhile, the family narrative about me kept evolving. Everly kept me updated on Aunt Eva's latest versions. I was too busy with my new life to care about family, or probably involved with the wrong crowd at college. When I landed a great internship at a tech company after junior year, Eva somehow spun it as me always being obsessed with money. The real kicker came during my senior year. I had just accepted a job offer from a major tech company, 6 figures straight out of college. Full benefits, stock options. That same week, Mom called to tell me about the latest family drama. Apparently, Aunt Eva had been cleaning out some old boxes and found an expensive necklace that had gone missing years ago. She made a big show of announcing that she had probably misplaced it, just like the jewelry for my birthday. She feels terrible about the whole thing, Mom said, her voice hopeful. Maybe it's time to let bygones be bygones. The family misses you. I remember standing in my dorm room looking at my bank account on my laptop screen. Healthy savings, solid investments, and a future that I built entirely on my own. That's nice, I said. I'm glad she found her necklace. Listen, Mom, I've got a study group meeting to get to. The years after graduation were a steady climb. I moved into a nice apartment, started making a name for myself in the tech industry, and watched my savings grow. Every holiday invitation that came once they started coming again when I was successful got met with the same "sorry, I'm swamped with work." It wasn't even a lie. I'd purposely scheduled major projects around family gatherings. Everly was the only one who really knew how well I was doing. She'd visited me a few times, seen my life firsthand. "You should see Eva's face when people ask about you," she told me during her last visit. "She tries to act concerned about your workaholic tendencies, but I can tell it drives her crazy that she can't control the narrative anymore." I kept detailed records of everything: bank statements, investment portfolios, performance reviews, promotions. Part of it was just good financial sense. But there was another reason, one I couldn't quite admit to myself. I was waiting for what I wasn't sure, but something told me to keep those receipts, literally and figuratively. Then last week, Everly called. Her voice had that tone, the one that meant something big was happening. "You need to know about this," she said. "Eva's in trouble. Big trouble. And the family? They're talking about you." I leaned back in my office chair, looking out over the city skyline from my high-rise apartment. "I'm listening," I said, opening my laptop to check my latest bank statement. Something told me I was about to need it. Final update: it's amazing how quickly someone's tone can change when they need something. The text from my mom came 3 days after Everly's call. "We're having a family meeting at Eva's house this Saturday. It's important that you come. Luca, please." No excuse about keeping the peace this time. No carefully worded suggestion that maybe I should sit this one out. Just straight desperation wrapped in 2 sentences. I knew what it was about. Everly had filled me in on the basics. Eva had lost everything in what she called an investment opportunity. Really, it was one of those classic schemes. Promises of huge returns, urgent deadlines, wire transfers to overseas accounts. By the time she realized what was happening, her life savings was gone. We're talking retirement fund, house equity, everything. I showed up at Eva's house exactly on time, dressed in a crisp button-down and carrying a leather portfolio. Professional, put together, successful. Everything she'd spent years telling the family I wasn't. The living room was packed. My parents, Eva and her husband, several aunts and uncles, even some cousins. Everly sat in the corner, trying to hide a knowing smile. The first thing I noticed was how small Eva looked. Gone was the commanding presence that had dominated family gatherings for years. She sat on her couch, hands fidgeting with a tissue, makeup not quite hiding the dark circles under her eyes. "Luca," she said, her voice wavering. "Thank you for coming. We didn't know if you would." I took a seat directly across from her, setting my portfolio on the coffee table. "When family needs help, you show up," I said. "Isn't that what you always said?" The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the room. My mom shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Eva launched into her story. How she had met someone online who claimed to be a successful investment manager. How he had shown her documentation of other clients' returns, pressed her with testimonials. She had invested a little at first, seen some early returns, then went all in. Classic confidence scheme. Now she was facing foreclosure, drowning in debt. "And we're family," she said, looking around the room before settling her gaze on me. "And family helps family. I know things haven't been perfect between us, but I was hoping." I opened my portfolio and pulled out a stack of papers. "Before we continue," I said, "I'd like to show everyone something." The first document was a bank statement for my primary savings account. The second showed my investment portfolio. The third detailed my property holdings. With each page I placed on the coffee table, the room grew quieter. That's quite impressive," Eva managed, her eyes fixed on the numbers. "It is," I agreed. "You know what else is impressive? How I managed to build all this. Despite being labeled a thief at 16, despite being excluded from family gatherings, despite having my birthday gifts taken away because of a lie." "Luca," my mom started, but I held up my hand. "I'm not finished." I pulled out one final document, a printed copy of an email. "This arrived yesterday. It's a promotion. Executive position. West Coast Division. I start next month." Eva's face had gone pale. "I made mistakes," she stammered, "but surely you wouldn't just watch your family struggle." "I wouldn't just watch," I finished for her. "Leave them to deal with their problems alone." Funny how that works, isn't it? The silence in the room was deafening. Years of accusations, exclusions, and whispered rumors hung in the air between us. Then I pulled out my checkbook. "I'm going to write you a check. And Eva, not because you deserve it, but because I'm not you. This will cover your immediate debts and 3 months of mortgage payments. Enough time to sell the house and find something within your new means." Her hands trembled as she reached for the check, but I held it back. "There are conditions. First, I want a written admission of what you did when I was 16, shared with every person in this room. Second, you'll seek financial counseling. I'll pay for it, but you have to go. And third," I looked around the room, meeting each family member's eyes. Everyone here needs to understand that this is it. This is the last time I step in. I'm not your backup plan or your emergency fund. I handed her the check. The amount made her gasp. One more thing, I added, standing up. Those birthday gifts you made me return. I've kept a list with interest calculated over 9 years. That comes too. I pulled out another piece of paper and handed it to my parents. I'll be donating that exact amount to a youth education charity. In your names. Because unlike some people, I keep exact records of what I owe and what I'm owed. As I walked toward the door, Everly fell into step beside me. That was incredible, she whispered. I paused in the doorway, turning back to the silent room. You know what the funny thing is, Aunt Eva? If you'd just been kind, if you'd just been family, I would have helped without any conditions. Think about that next time you're tempted to judge someone's character. The drive home was quiet, but for the first time in years, it wasn't because of shame or anger. I felt light, free. My phone buzzed with messages from family members. Apologies, explanations, attempts to reconnect. I'd read them later. For now, I just enjoyed the silence and the knowledge that sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising so far above the people who hurt you that they have to crane their necks just to see how far they made you climb.